Yes, welcome back to another program of Premier League Overtime. Great to have your company, of course, as we always do here on the show. Sam Tugwell over here, Doug McDonald-Taylor sitting next to me as he always does. Welcome back, mate.
Thank you, Sam. Good to be here. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Another big week of basketball to talk about as we close in on the finals, Sam.
Certainly do, and as we talk about big games and big players, we have one to our left today on the desk, and very, very exciting to have him on because he's been through all sorts in his basketballing career and he's still performing fantastically well for the Southern Tigers at the moment. It is the great man, Mitch Creek. Welcome to the show, Mitch.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you here, mate. We'll get to you in just a moment, but we're quickly going to look at round 19 as it's just been by, and quite an easy round to dissect, really, with Forestville, West, Norwood, Sturt and Southern all securing wins on the board and all the rest not winning. So pretty easy to really just split that one up. So we've handpicked a few games as we usually do, and we're going to take a look at some of those. And the first one that we're going to check out is the North and West Adelaide game in the women's. And Doug, this was quite a big game, especially for West Adelaide, because to get themselves up the ladder and potentially look at a second spot now, which is something probably wasn't in the picture earlier on, especially when we were looking at the run home a few weeks back. They've defied a few odds and pulled out a big win, 2 points over Norwood, 76-74 in Hillcrest as well. Sorry, did I say Norwood? North.
Well, they beat Norwood last week, Sam, and
That's right.
North this week, so big fortnight.
So North this week at Hillcrest. And Norwood the week before. So they're doing some really big things. And even Joe Hill's double-double, 21 and 12. Not enough to get the Rockets over the line. West are doing some seriously good stuff.
Yeah, look, 2 months ago, this would have been a massive upset, but now we're getting used to Westie's women coming up for getting some big wins. And like you said, I mean, they were to and fro whether or not they'd get in the 5, and now they're definitely in the 5. It's just whether or not they can grab that double chance, Sam. And like you said, they might even grab second. So they're playing some great basketball on the back of the Talia Fijo, who's had a fantastic few weeks. She had 14 points on the weekend. Tiona Campbell had 19 and 8, so she's had a great month. And Jasmine Fijo off the bench also chipped in with 12. So, but not only that, they got good contributors across the board, which is probably the difference in this contest. They had Michaela Lappin with 9, and both Holland and Vordermeyer both been around for a while now, and they were solid as well, which is probably the difference. So, because North had their big guns up and about, Hill, Ellsworthy and Mackay all had big games, but Maida was quiet, Williams, they really need to get more out of Byrne and Shannon Tarrant, just to help their starters out a little bit. And that was probably the difference in a close affair. A little bit more contribution off the bench for them, and that would have been a different story. But Westies, it wouldn't be out of the question saying that they're possible favourites for the title now, Sam, which 2 months ago you wouldn't be thinking that.
Yeah, pretty incredible, and they're doing great things, so they can continue that on with a couple of relatively easy games, you would think, coming up in the next 2 weeks. Like we said, that double chance spot in second is a real possibility right now. Let's cross on over to the Forestville East game, 84-70, the final score there. It was 14 points of difference. A margin you would have thought earlier on in the year that Forestville would probably make a little bit larger, but they really did rely heavily on just main two scorers, Olivia Thompson and Sam DiFrancesco. They put on some really big numbers, but I think at the end of the day, Forestville, they need some more contributors if they want to go deep into finals this year.
Yeah, look, we've documented it before. Losing Morgan Yeager, Sam, was a huge out for the Eagles, but having said that, they are a win against South this week away from securing their final spot, so which is a good up for them because they didn't make the finals last year. But like you said, Olivia Thompson, 34 points and 13 rebounds. That's Mitch Creek like, Mitch. And Sam DiFrancesco, 28 as well. She's bumped her average up as well. She's in the top 5 or 6 scorers in the league now, Sam. So she's draining the threes pretty well. Look, the Eastern girls, though, once again, they didn't get blown out. And like we've documented before, they lost so many players last year. To stick with some of these good teams, they're doing well. On the back of Tracy Carrington and Brooke Basham, both had 28 and 20 respectively. So there's 2 really good players they can build a team around. They've only got a couple of wins this year, but they'll be looking to build on that and get maybe 4 or 5 more next year with their juniors coming through. And you'd like to think that they'll be around the finals in 2 or 3 years, but it was a long season for them. But Eagles, 1 win their way, and they just got to get South this week and they're in.
Yeah, because then they got Sturt the week after that, and that could just be a decider. So depending on how next week goes, of course. Let's head on over to the men's competition, the one as Mitch is actually involved in, but we'll get to his game in a moment. Before we get to this one, Woodville and Norwood, a big second half effort from the Flames in the end was what got them the win. They stole it away from the Warriors in a sense because it was a 7-point lead to Woodville at half time, Doug, and then after that Norwood just turned it on and had a good night in the end. Matty Lysett, Jacob Holmes, the two main contributors there for the Flames.
Yeah, it was a great front court battle actually, with Lysett and Holmes going up against Luke Stanbridge and Nelson Kirksey. But yeah, the Norwood boys probably won that battle with Lysett, like I said, 28 points and Holmes 22 and 17 boards and also 8 assists. So Holmes is coming good at the right time of the year. You would have had your eye on this one. These are two of your probably biggest competitors. What do you think about Woodville and Norwood?
Yeah, definitely. I got to see a little bit of footage from it, thankfully. But obviously, two are probably the most threatening teams for us at the moment. Both played great basketball throughout the season, had their ups and downs. But obviously, the Warriors are just struggling to finish off games at the moment. We edged them out, probably about 2 months ago, and then the other week, and Norwood get them again now. So it's great to see Norwood playing some good basketball. We want to play against the best teams at 100%. We don't want to play against a great team and a championship caliber team, that aren't playing well. So we're looking forward to the battle in the next couple of weeks.
And we've said before, Woodville got Darren Eng out, and they're probably not finishing off the games as well. I mean, he's a star player. He's averaging over 20 a game, and without him, they're always going to struggle against the Southerns and the Norwoods. They need him back. Have you heard anything on the injury? Because we heard he's going to be back on the eve of finals. Have you heard anything different?
I don't know what I'm allowed to say, so I won't say too much. But
okay.
In case it's a surprise, get up. But
right.
he obviously Darren's knows best, and being a doctor and stuff, he knows how to look after his body really well. So from what I know, it's meant to be a 6 to 8 week injury. So given there's already been 2 weeks, he might come back for finals. But in saying that though, not shooting and not running around for 6 to 8 weeks, not being in touch, can sometimes harpen a team, especially when you're a shooter. So it's a big decision for the club at Woodville, but I think they'll make the best one for their team, and hopefully they can start putting together some wins these last 2 weeks and make a fight for finals.
Your game on the weekend against the Central Districts, so you headed on all the way up to Starplex and you had a very nice result. But the Lions certainly did bring it to you. You had yourself a nice double-double, as did your mate Alex Starling, which we speak about a lot on the show. But the Lions, like we just said, they actually did play quite a good game. They beat you in the second and third quarters. Just an overall assessment of that game would be really nice.
Yeah, obviously we came out in the first quarter. I'm not sure what we were up by, but I think it was about nearly 20, 15 or 20 in the first quarter. And we played some great basketball. Obviously we had Cody Ellison out. Dodman was out as well. We sat a few guys and we got a couple of guys away. So for us, we expected a good game from Centrals. They fight and they scrap really well. And obviously Nelson Larkins is playing some really good basketball at the moment. It's great to see all the work he's put in, down on the court down here is starting to turn around and pay off for him. So that's great to see. But yeah, come the second and third quarter, we made substitutions and we just got out of our flow, and that 18-point mark, we were at in that first quarter kind of came down to about 7 or 8 pretty quickly, and it's really hard to gain momentum back when it swings, and we just didn't get control of the game. It was bucket for bucket. We didn't get consecutive stops, and it was little plays like letting guys go left when we know they want to go left every single time, and it was just the little details in the scouts that kind of hurt us. So come the third quarter, and it was still a close game, we had to pull our big girl panties on and play big in the last quarter, which we did, which was great. But if we're going to be a championship contending team, we've got to play better than that from the get-go for all 40 minutes.
So on that, I think because you guys are top of the table, you've only lost one game this year and you've got Norwood up this week. It's a big challenge. I guess you get through Norwood, you're going to get through the game after that and you hit the finals. How confident are you that you guys, as a team, can get there and go to the very end?
I think it's something that we haven't really thought about a whole lot, to be honest. We don't talk about it. We don't talk about finals or 2 weeks ahead or 3 weeks ahead or who we might match up on, or we've spoken about what we want to do as a team and the values we have, and I think that's the best thing about our group this year is the fact that we're just focused on getting better every week. Southern have obviously been a team the last however many years have been really struggling, and guys come in and chalk it up as a win. And, you know, for us now, it's not about having one great season of, 18-1, whatever we are now, and then going to a finals. And hopefully, obviously, our goal as a team is to win a championship. Best case scenario, we get that. We don't want it to be one. We want to have 2, 3, 4 championships and build a culture. And I think we've done that this year. So I guess for us, you know, we look forward to playing Norwood and trying a few things and seeing how both Titans kind of clash. And at the end of the day, if they peg us, then we've got something to go home and we can go back and study and prepare for finals. But if we can get the edge on them, hopefully, then we can keep kind of working in our craft and trying to find a way to beat them come finals time.
It's an interesting game, Sam. Sorry to butt in, but it's one of those. It's a bit of a dead rubber, and they're definitely going to play each other in finals. So they probably don't want to show too much, but they still want to make sure they get the win. So it'll be interesting to see how the coaches tackle this week with the Norwood Southern game. They'll probably run their benches a little bit more and maybe not throw in too many surprises. But they might try a couple of things they haven't tried during the year as well, see if it works, especially against the big players. So
Norwood is the only team that's beaten you guys this year, which I guess, you know, might throw some people off, but I'm sure you guys are well and truly confident within the group.
Yeah, I think so. You know, I was obviously away on my holiday at that time and I was actually in Bali having a few bintangs, watching the game on Periscope. So I was yelling at it, and I had Nathan Fisher and some of those boys and Adam just on FaceTime trying to get it, but the Wi-Fi was crappy, so I couldn't really see a whole lot. But you know, to get a great look at the end of a game in Norwood, obviously says a lot about our team, and not to have myself there goes just like Woodville. They lose a bit of that scoring punch and that cool head that you can just relax and take the air out of the ball a little bit and say, you know what, we're okay. We don't need to panic right now, and that's what some teams lack. Some of these better teams like Norwood and especially ourselves, we have those guys that can just say, look, we're okay. Like, we can relax and we can get the ball to a Jacob Holmes or a Matty Lysett and they can get a great look and run that clock down. So for us, obviously, Norwood's probably up there for us. So we're looking forward to the challenge and can't wait to meet them.
Can't wait for that, of course. That's coming up on Saturday night. We'll chat about that more in a moment. But Mitch, we'll get to you. And I guess yourself, you're one of the marquee players of the competition. I'm sure you know that. And many people come out of all ages to want to watch you play. I'm sure as an individual who's been playing basketball his whole life and is doing some fantastic things with, you know, your career and whatnot, it's a luxury, I guess, that a lot of people don't have to say that people come out and watch me play. You get that. How cool is that for you?
Yeah, it's really fantastic. You know, I've got a lot of good support from my close friends and family, and they come out to all my games. And Mum doesn't really miss a game, and I know Dad, when he comes over from Horsham, he tries to see as many as he can too. So it's great to have my family here. Obviously, they're first and foremost, and even my best mates that work full-time jobs, and one's a professional boxer, one runs a bar and restaurant, and they come out when they can. They take shifts off to come out and watch, and things like that mean a lot. To have your teammates that have buys and stuff to come out and cheer you on is obviously fantastic. But for me, I get to hang my hat on the fact that kids get to come out and you get to have a laugh with them, or it might be as simple as, pretending to steal a chip out of their hot chip bucket and having a laugh with them. And then they talk about it for 3 weeks with their dad, and then his dad comes up and if you make yourself really approachable and you're humble about what you do, basketball is a beautiful game. I'm very lucky to come from a small country town and get to play here. So I remember when I was that little kid chasing around Darren McDonald and Andrew Gay. So they came to Horsham once, and ever since I've always had time for kids and even families and guys of all ages, girls too. It doesn't matter, like, really. Whoever's interested in basketball and just wants to learn something or just say g'day or get a high five or a photo or a signature, it's a really nice feeling. But at the same time, you've got to try and do your best to kind of concentrate and sit on that fine line of having a bit of fun with the kids in the crowd and stuff like that during the games, and then going out and competing every day. So it's very good fun.
Well, you're very lucky indeed, and you're a fantastic bloke, and of course the crowd's there and the southern people absolutely love having you down there. But how does a man from country Victoria end up in Adelaide to play basketball? You've done quite a lot in your career, but you're playing for the Sixers as well. How does someone from born in Horsham come to Adelaide in the big city and do what he does?
I don't really know. We didn't have many guys in our association to play. We had, a couple of teams, but those teams had one or two good players each, and the rest, weren't too handy with the basketball, and I was never very good. I remember when I was young, Mum told me the story that I used to have pockets in my basketball shorts till I was about 10, and I never touched the basketball till I was about 11 when she sewed my pockets up. So for me to actually finally, get my hands out of my pockets, it wasn't cold back home. We were in a drought for 20 years, so it wasn't the cold that got me. It was more so the fact that I was a shy kid. I was never the popular kid or anything like that. I just loved my sport and loved being around friends. So, growing up on the farm, you just learned to work hard and you weren't given anything. You earned everything. And I had great coaches. I had a great coach, Owen Hewen, and guys like Barry McTaggart, who's actually up at Eastern at the moment, doing a little bit out there. Very, very, very wise man. So those two are huge influences, but obviously my dad and some other players back home from Horsham I looked up to who have, come from Horsham as well, like Sean Bruce, Aaron Bruce, his brother, and guys like Shane McDonald and Brett Goodgame, those kind of guys that have played Seabull and some for Australia. They're the guys I've kind of looked up to my whole life, and I still, like, when I get to talk to them and see them around and they're kind of looking at you like, oh, it's pretty cool, you're a professional, and I'm looking at them going, oh, I remember you, like, don't worry about that. So it's a nice feeling.
And I'm just going to quickly jump ahead because you mentioned Australia now. That's something that you've in fact been involved with for a few years now. Back in 2012 you were listed in the squad for London, the Olympics, and this year again listed in the squad for the Rio Olympics. Sadly, you're only here and you missed the opportunity. I'm sure that was one you were absolutely looking forward to, but I guess for us, we absolutely love it because you're still here and we're watching you play basketball in the Premier League. But, I mean, there's an opportunity there and you're very close. At 24 years of age, you must be very excited.
Yeah, it was obviously, it's my absolute dream. I got an email to say that I was being looked at for the squad. Didn't know what that meant, but, like, I literally called my mum and dad and was in tears, like, look, this is awesome. Like, they considered me as one of the top prospects to go away. For me, that hits home really hard. I've gone through a lot in my career and mentally as well. So to actually call my family and say, hey, I'm on the panel to get picked to go away was just huge. I remember I was sitting at Nordberger on the way home from a skiing trip. Went down the river and one of the boys was sitting next to me and I started tearing up and he's like, what's wrong? And I was just like, I just broke down and told him what was going on. And for me, that's how much it means. I can come across as on the court as cocky and arrogant and stuff like that. But if people see how hard I actually work and how hard my friends and teammates work, they'll understand that this is absolutely everything for us. And like you said, to meet kids and to change lives, might be one kid's life, but he might cherish that for the rest of his life. So, for me to then get to the 26 squad, that was just sick. Like I'll just remember that for the rest of my life. That'll be a turning point where I can say, you know what, I'm improving enough now to get a good look in with probably one of arguably the best squads Australia's ever put up. So to be in that final 26 is something I'll definitely hang my hat on, but I'll put it on the roof, and every night I'll go to sleep and I'll think about it and wake up the next day and go in and work my butt off and hopefully. My goal was for the next Olympics of 2020 to make that squad, so that's definitely number one on the list. So if I can get there, then I'll come back here and say a hell of an interview.
It's going to be awesome. Well, before I throw it to Doug, I'm just going to quickly ask you as well. You've in that squad. Did you get to spend a little bit of time with those guys? And how well do you think they're going to go over there in Rio? Because, like you said, it's probably the best lineup we've ever had.
Yeah, definitely. Watching the team that we've got, but also, the Americans have put up a pretty good squad again this year. And, those big teams like, even Lithuania, Russia and, Argentina and stuff are going to be some pretty strong talent. But to see that we got over Argentina is obviously a great start. But we've got a long way to go. And, the Olympics is one of those things, you've only got to play one bad game and miss out. You play a few, string a few at the start along and it can go really well. So I think we've got a bit of everything. We've got some inside, outside, good point guards, good shooting guards. I think if we could defend the guard spot and the point guard spot, I think we'll be fine. I think the bigs will match each other pretty well and cancel each other out. So I think we've got a really good chance this year. But like you asked, I didn't actually get to go and train with them or anything. I think this was one of the first years they actually didn't hold a camp. And my thing this year was to improve on my shooting and stuff like that. And the fact I didn't get to go in and demonstrate that was something I've put just a lot of time into, and to shoot the kind of numbers I have this year and be around that 50% mark from distance is something I've put a lot of time and effort into. So it would have been great to go and showcase that, but for me right now, it's not making that team just adds a little bit of fuel to the fire, and I get to go out this year in the NBL and hopefully have a great season.
Well, Doug, of course, we're really looking forward to seeing Mitch play, of course, in the Premier League. But, I mean, to be over in Rio would have been even more awesome. But 2020, that's going to be something.
Yeah, look, Australian basketball is definitely heading in the right direction. Both our national teams are looking really strong, and well done for Mitch for being obviously in the 26, and that's 4 years. That's a really realistic goal for him, and I think certainly all six of the supporters are going to be tracking his development and looking forward to seeing his improved shooting as well this year. So that'll be good for Sixers fans. But we'll get back to the Premier League. We talk a lot about yourself and Alex Starling and even Johnsy on this show, but obviously not a three-man team. You go deeper than that. Can you tell us a little about some of the young guys? Obviously Todd Davis and Cody Ellison are two of them. But
yeah, definitely. This is probably my favourite topic to talk about when people ask. We went in there the first 2 weeks and I looked at Dino, our coach, obviously, and said, mate, you've got a championship side with this squad here without us. I was like, you've got shooters, defenders, big guys, athletes. I was like, you don't need anything else. I was like, yeah, Alex and I help, but I saw those guys just have no confidence and no belief in themselves. We went in there and pumped them up, and they've, credit to them, they're already great basketballers. They just needed someone to come in and say, you know what, you're actually really bloody good. Just go out and play your heart off. And I'd tell Toddy every week, I was like, you got to shoot 15 threes tonight. I don't care if you miss all 15. You're that good a shooter. If you miss 15, you're probably going to make the next 20. And he's starting to believe that now, and he just goes out, lets them fly, and that keeps the defense true to myself and Alex, and they can't rotate early because you put the gun in the holster. So I think Todd's one of our biggest keys. If he shoots the ball well, we're just an absolute nightmare. Then guys like Kat and Andy Barton, who's away at the moment overseas, but he'll be coming back before finals. Two complementary players that get in the keyway, play hard. Sometimes they play their 15, 20 minutes, sometimes they play 5 minutes, sometimes they play 1. But the thing is, they come in ready to go, fired up, they shoot the ball. They just do the little things that you need. And that's obviously something we're going to need come finals. If myself, Alex and Sam and Dodds are struggling a little bit, we're going to need that extra 10 points somewhere else. And I think one of our big pieces is obviously Cody Ellison. He's obviously a footballer at first on the Saturday mornings, but Saturday night he gets to lace up the Kobe's and come out and run around. So he's just been a bright spark for us. He wasn't there at the start of the year. Obviously he was focused on his footy, but the fact that he came in late and he's just gelled so well with the team. He's such a great guy, and it goes for everyone. There's we call it a no dickhead policy, anywhere we go. But we don't have any guys that are, self-centered or it's about them or it's about someone else. We've got a good team that just want to play and just win and have some fun together. So, the fact that he gets out there and he's long, athletic, can shoot the three, he's a nightmare for guys to guard. And when you've got myself, Alex, Dodds and Sammy, and then you've got Cody out there too, then you've got Toddy shooting it from half court, you just think, what are we going to do? If we stop Cody, then Alex goes off. You stop Alex, I go off. And you stop me, and Dodds goes off. And then it's just a kind of big circle. So we've got a lot of other good guys out there as well. And guys like Hamish have, just steady the ship and play a great point guard role. So, the list goes on and on. I could go through the entire list. And the qualities off the court as well at training is what kind of makes us better. It's not always our first team that wins all the scrimmages and practices, even though my team normally wins. But we have some really good practices, and we leave it, and guys are pissed off at each other and pretty angry, and the competitive juices are always flowing. So it's always great to go out there and go out and train.
It's interesting because Dixie said last week that Southern not only had the stars and the big names, but they had a really good core group and some really good role players who know their role. And which is what championship teams need. So it's looking good for the Tigers, Sam. They haven't won one since '98, and they're after listening to Mitch talk about them, it's hard to see him being beaten. I thought I was actually leaning towards Norwood, but after that speech, I think I'm going to go with Southern. Now, quickly on Alex Starling, where is he at? Because for me, he's obviously NBL quality. What do you think about that? And is he good enough to make it as an import? Where do you reckon he's at?
Yeah, I think Alex has got a lot of great traits about his basketball game. I think the biggest thing that hurts him is his height between, is he a 3 or is he a 4? He has to make that choice of whether he wants to become a guard that plays from the outside and also can play inside, or if he wants to be a big guy that plays the undersized 4 position and then can stretch to the outside as well. So I think for Alex to take the next step, he needs to just keep improving on his jump shot. Same thing I've been working on the last 3 or 4 years. You know, in the last season I shot the ball pretty well after my elbow surgery as well. And then this year I've really improved a lot. So that's where I think I'll take my next step forward. I think for Alex, for him to take that next step forward and break into a squad as maybe a backup 4-man or potential undersized 4-3, I think that's something he needs to improve on just a little bit. Obviously, his defensive prowess is he's just like a bloody wild lion, just stalking his prey, and it's so amazing to watch him at training and in games. Like, I'll stand on the court and just look at him and be like, God, that's beautiful. Like, I love playing D and love shutting down guys, and seeing someone else on the same team do that who's just as athletic and strong as you are is just such a good thing. And he kind of hides behind a guy running off, and he'll just like sit in the bushes, and it's just crazy. Like, and then he'll come through, steal it, and just jump over the ring, do a 360 backflip dunk, and you know, he gets so pumped up and he plays with so much emotion and hype. It's such a good infectious thing to have on your team. So I think the sky's the limit for Alex. He works his butt off, and he's a really good guy as well. He's a good family man, and he's a good teammate. So he means well, and you know, sometimes people portray that differently and think he's, you know, can be selfish, but it's the same thing with me. People think I'm selfish as well, but I'm always about the team first, and I just want our team to be as successful as possible. Alex would go, you know, no shots and 35 rebounds, or he'd go no shots and 2 rebounds and a win any day of the week. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do in his future, because he's got a bright one ahead. So I do wish him all the best.
And lastly for me, Sam, the Sixers season's coming up. Obviously doing a little bit of training as well as stuff with the Tigers. A lot of changes this year. How's it feel? What's the feel of the group? You know, and you know, we're thinking finals, we're thinking championship. Oh, probably a bit early, but give us a little rundown.
We're 2 days in. We've had strength testing meetings, fitness testing, and played some one-on-one today with myself, Jerome, Majock, Anthony Drimick, and Ferguson. So I actually won that. So number 1 so far. Jerome's going to hate that, so I hope you're watching, Jerome. But like we were playing one-on-one today, and it's going to be tough as a guard. Like, Majock's a 6'9", 6'10", long, moves his feet well, can shoot the 3. He's just an animal. You know, Drimick's the 6'6", like lights-out shooter that just, you know, his big Croatian head is just the center of everything, and it's just, I give him so much stick. We grew up together and went to institute, and I played against him with Vic Metro, and he's such a good guy, and he just works so tough. And Rome said today, he goes, he's just like a dog. He just fights so hard. And then you got Terrence, who's just really, really good. Like, he's going to be really exciting to watch, and to be 18 years old and to do the things he's doing right now is just incredible. I hope he does a great career and can move up and onwards to the NBA, and then hopefully, you know, take the NBA by storm. But, you know, to have Jerome back, and then, you know, guys like Sobes has come back in great shape and great condition. Hodge is moving extremely well. DJ's obviously, you know, people sleep on our team and go, oh, who do they have? And we've still got, like, I think, arguably the 2 best players in the league in Jerome and DJ in their positions. So, you know, we've got all the pieces of the puzzle. It's just a matter of playing an up-tempo style of ball, and we're probably going to press a hell of a lot this year. So we were doing the fitness test today, and everyone was in pretty good nick. So it's going to be a good chance for fans to even come down during the week. You know, we're training 5 days a week at the moment, 10 to 12, and doors are open to the public. So if you're down, come down and have a look. And there's going to be a lot of dunks this year, and there's going to be a lot of high-flying antics. So I'm really looking forward to it. But obviously our goal is to win a championship every year. I don't want to settle for anything less. I hate coming second. So that's about all it is for us.
Well, yeah, exciting times for the Tigers and for Sixers fans, Sam. So, yeah, good work, mate. Thanks for coming along, and I'll send it back to Sammy.
Absolutely. I was just going to quickly mention, because Gibbo's off to the Brisbane Bullets, the new franchise, back up and running again. That's no effect to you guys?
No, I spoke to Gibbo actually yesterday. We're having a good chat and a bit of a laugh with each other. You know, he's a great guy, and he's someone I've modelled myself on a little bit, and the traits he has as a leader is something I want to carry over, and I obviously want to one day hopefully have my jersey in the rafters somewhere here and captain this team. So for me, that's a goal of mine, and you know, one of those things on the checklist that I want to check off. So I've always admired him as a player and as a person. So I wish him all the best, and it's just going to be good to see him in a new, fresh team with a fresh start and no real pressure on him and expectations. He's just going to go out and play. And from what I can see and hear from him, he's in pretty good nick, and apparently he's got a six-pack. So we'll have to wait and see.
He was straight his stuff, that's for sure. So Mitch, thank you very much for coming along, mate. It's great to get an insight into the world that you live in right now, which is quite an amazing one. Let's head on over to the ladders for the Premier League right now. After round 19, we'll start with the men's comp, and your Tigers, Mitch, are sitting very pretty at the top. 18-1, you'll be very pleased with that right now. Woodville have slipped all the way down to 5th, Doug, but it's okay. They've got North and East left to play, so you'd expect them to probably get those wins there, you would think. I mean, they're challenging, but you would think they would get the wins.
Yeah, they'll get those 2 wins for sure. And so they'll wrap up, well, they're already in the finals. But yeah, between them and Forestville, we'll probably come down to the Forestville-Sturt game in a couple of weeks' time, Sam. So we'll keep an eye out for that. But yeah, look, they'll get those 2, and they'll keep going. I mean, they're not far away anyway, so they're just got to look for a few more contributors with Darren out if they're going to make a run for the title. And
then crossing to the women's, Norwood on top, Southern in second there. They're level with North, but here's the interesting one. West a real chance to go into the second spot, as we mentioned earlier. The only teams left to play are Centrals and East. Now, what they require, because what we predicted earlier was they'd go 0-3 in their last 3 games they've just played, and they've gone 2-1. So all of a sudden things have changed, and they're defying odds that we didn't think they would do. And so all they need is for North and Southern to both lose at least 1 game, and for them to win both. And they could find themselves in second spot. And the positive thing for them is that North and Southern actually play each other in the next 2 games as well. So one of them is going to happen. It's just a matter of the other team getting a loss as well. So the Bearcats very much looking in a happy spot to get themselves a second chance.
Oh, definitely. The thing about the Bearcats is it doesn't matter where they finish now. They've just knocked off Norwood and North in consecutive weeks, so they could finish 4th, 3rd. I mean, they won't care now. I mean, obviously they're going for the double chance, but they know they can beat everyone. So it's obviously tougher coming from 4th and 5th because you can't lose. You have to win 4 finals to win the whole thing. But it's been done before, and they're capable of doing it. But yeah, I think they'll sneak into the top 3. I think obviously with North and Southern playing each other, they could end up equal with Westies, and it'll come down to the splits. So. But no, it's looking good for West, and the women's side, actually both sides, it's going to be such a good final series. It's going to be some really close games, mate. So just got to get rid of these next 2 weeks so we can get into it.
Yeah, can't wait for it. Let's look at round 20. This is what's been fixtured for you, and the big blockbuster one, I guess, for me, this is huge. Southern taking on Norwood at Morphett Vale. Mitch, I'm sure you're keen to get everyone down there.
Yeah, I'm just looking forward to playing again. I trained my ass off all week and end up getting to the game super sore and tired, but that's the best thing for me is being able to go out and play and just have fun with the boys. So expect a good game and a nice close one, so hopefully they miss a few late shots and we make a few.
And the women's, of course, that's a top of the table clash as well for both men and women, so that'll be an absolute cracker night down there. Sturt take on Centrals, West Adelaide and East, that'll be on Austral Sports. Woodville taking on North, and then Sunday afternoon, Forestville and South at Wayville. So that's your round 20. 2 games to go in the season. Doug, this is going to be one heck of a finish of the year.
Yeah, it will be. And there's some good games there, Sam. So everyone get out and watch your game. And other than that, we'll see you next week.
Absolutely. Mitch, thank you very much for coming along, mate.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you here.
No worries.
And Doug, of course, you're always here, but thank you for coming along.
No drama, Sam. Looking forward to this week.
As well as we look forward to your company next week when we join you once again for Premier League Overtime. Thank you very much for coming along, and we'll catch you then.